Dandavat Pranam, Radhe Radhe. Welcome to Shri Radha Vinodihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupananda Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Patik Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Vinodihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Let's see if it's available yet. That's weird. It's from yesterday. Hold on.
Dandavat Pranam, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. It's not connecting on this one as well.
It is, just give it a second.
Okay. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, the auspicious invocation, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Diti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam.
Okay.
It's not showing up yet in this one. Maybe the internet is not. Oh, there it is. Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Śrī Krishna Līlā Katane Sudakṣam Kaudarya Madhurya Gunascha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Nārāyaṇam Tvam Shirasam Namāmi Trigandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Śrī Krishna Pada Jindakaika Hridi Chaitanya Lila Mrita Sarasaram Nārayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatya Deshakarine Namo Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri स्वश्रितानां च पालिने जीवदुःखे सदरतान् श्रीनाम प्रेमदायिने नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वतीति नामिने श्रीवर्षभारती देवी दयिताय कृपाभये कृष्ण सम्बन्ध विज्ञान नयिने ब्रह्मवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाढ्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदा श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये निगतारिणे रूपान्नविरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तद्वन्द्वहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भरसम्मोहे पदम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगम्बरायते गौराविर्भावभूमे स्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिया वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतौ पङ्गुर्मम मन्दं मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वपदं भोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यक्रीडारण्यकल्पद्रुमलं श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्त्रसरसारम्भे त्वं शिव ततस्थितः गोपीनाथ श्रीयस्तु नः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकम् भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनम् श्रेयकैयवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं विवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णानन्दमयम् Atma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Harer Nam Harer Namaiva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakti Sadma, page 28. In this songbook, if you do not have the songbook, then let me just see, is Śrī Dāmodara Prabhu here?
Yes.
Dandavat Pranam Śrī Dāmodara Prabhu. So scroll to the most recent post of Śrī Dāmodara Prabhu, and there you will find the bhajans with their translations, followed by commentaries of our acharyas. And Lamangalata Didi will post the page number, so in case you don't know it or forget it or lose your page, you can always refer to the page number she has posted. Ooh, it's warm. I was thinking, as Sudevi was heating up the mridanga on the heater, even though I was in the middle of Mangalacharan, I thought maybe I should say, maybe it's time to take it off now. And I didn't want to disturb the Mangalacharan, but this is also, the mridanga and the instruments are manifestation of Baladev Prabhu. And so, from another perspective, if it was necessary to avoid the mridanga popping, because they can pop when they heat up or become too dry, like that really nice one I brought to Nārāyaṇa ashram in Austria. So the big head popped because it was too dry and the sun was coming in and it was no longer a nice drum. But anyhow, sometimes it might be necessary to make an interruption. Generally, we should not, but an example would be, recently, a Tulsi house was made here, outside, just before the winter came. And it was quite big and beautiful and nice, and it was put into the sun where it should be, because Tulsi is in the form of a plant, and plants need sunlight. So everything was beautiful, she was beautiful. But then they decided to make it look really nice and cottagey, so they put a nice thatched roof over the top of Tulsi Devi, just as winter was starting to come. And we're like, why are you putting a thatched roof above Tulsi Devi? And I said something, I said, generally I wouldn't say anything, but it's not going to be good for her, and she's a pure devotee. And then other devotees said it too, and they said, no worries, we'll remove some of it so she can get some light from a different angle. And sure enough, 3/4 or more left this world prematurely. So sometimes it is necessary to say something, especially when we see that some abuse or maybe lack of common sense is going on. And I was thinking about that in terms of the mridanga, that this is utilized in seva. And maybe I'm doing my Mangalacharan and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't interrupt the Mangalacharan, but what if the mridanga pops? So sometimes it's necessary to stop something in order to do the more important seva. As we know from the example given by Mother Yashoda herself. What was she doing? She was giving Krishna her own milk, and he was so happy and comfortable and peaceful and relaxed. And her milk is the manifestation of her Vatsalya prem, her parental love and affection for Krishna. And therefore it is unlimited. And Krishna's capacity to drink is unlimited. So he was happily, unlimitedly drinking her unlimited supply of love milk. And at that moment, the other milk, which is also a manifestation of love for Krishna, began feeling hopeless and decided, I want to give up my life if I cannot serve Krishna. So what happened? Mother Yashoda was in the middle of doing this important service to Krishna, but in order to protect that devotee from leaving this world, she put Krishna down and went to rescue that devotee and utilize that devotee in the service of Krishna. So we see by that example that sometimes it may be necessary to interrupt the current seva in order to do a more important seva. I like your comments, Anjali. What if the mridanga pops? It does. If it gets too high, the head can just, it will pop. So Thank you, Sudevi. So Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma. By the way, Tulsi Devi is still covered here. We can only say so much before whoever we speak to about it becomes upset. And so there's only so much one can do unless they are willing to actually fight for what is right. And we have fought too many fights, and we're still willing to keep fighting too many fights for what is right and what is good. So, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma, page 28. Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Vandamui Sattvathana Mate, Vandamui Savodhano Mate, Vandamui Savodhano Mate, Vandamui Savodhano Mate, Jaharo Prasade Bhar Bhavatoria Jaharo Prasade Bhar Bhavatoria Krishna Prapti Hoi Jaha Hoi Te, Krishna Prapti Hoi Jaha Hoi Te, Guru Mukha Padmo Vakyo Chitte Te Kuriya Akyo, Guru Mukha Padmo Vakyo Chitte Te Kuriya Akyo, Arna Kori Homani Asha, Arna Kori Homani Asha, Shri Guru Charane Rati, Aise Uttama Gati, Shri Guru Charane Rati, Aise Uttama Gati, Je Prasade Pure Sarvo Asha, Je Prasade Pure Sarvo Asha, জনার বন্ধু লোকনাথ লোকের জীবন লোকনাথ লোকের জীবন আহা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া আহা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া তুমা পদে হইম শরণ তুমা পদে হইম শরণ গুরুদেব পতিত পাবন গুরুদেব পতিত পাবন প্রভুপাদ পতিত পাবন প্রভুপাদ পতিত পাবন আহা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া আহা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে পদ ছায়া গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব দেব জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা श्री गुरुदेव की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय रूपानुग गुरुवर्ग की जय श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय हरि हरि कवे मोर हवे हेनो दिन पेज 41 हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे हेनो दीन हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे हेनो दीन कबे मोर हबे हेनो दीन कबे मोर हबे हेनो दीन विमल वैष्णवे रति उपजीवे वासना हइले कीन विमल वैष्णवे रति उपजीवे वासना हइले कीन हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे हेनो दीन हरि हरि कबे मोर हबे हेनो दीन অন্তরে বাঁধিলে সমব্যবহার আমারি করিব জীবন যাপন লাগি এ দেহের ক্রিয়া অভ্যাসে করিব জীবন যাপন লাগি শ্রীকৃষ্ণ ভজনে অনুকূল যাহা শ্রীকৃষ্ণ ভজনে অনুকূল যাহা তবে তাহে হব অনুরাগী তাহে হব অনুরাগী ভজনের যাহা প্রতিকূল তাহা বিধবাবে দেয়ানিব ভজনের যাহা প্রতিকূল তাহা বিধবাবে দেয়ানিব ভজিতে ভজিতে সময় আসিলে ভজিতে ভজিতে সময় আসিলে এ দেহ ছাড়িয়া দিব এ দেহ ছাড়িয়া দিব ভক্তি বিনোদ এই আশা করি খুশিয়া গো মনে ভক্তি বিনোদ এই আশা করি খুশিয়া গো মনে প্রভু কৃপালাভি ব্যাকুল অন্তরে প্রভু কৃপালাভি ব্যাকুল অন্তরে সদা কাঁদে সঙ্গোপনে সদা কাঁদে সঙ্গোপনে হরি হরি ভবে মোর ভবে হেরোদিন হরি হরি কবে মোর ভবে হেরোদিন বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর প্রভু কৃপা করো মোরে দয়া করো 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 वैष्णव ठाकुर की जय শুনিয়াছি সাধু মুখে বলে সর্বজন পেজ 51 श्री रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय श्री सत गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय শুনিয়াছি সাধু মুখে বলে সর্বজন শ্রীরূপ কৃপালু মিলে যুগল চরণ শুনিয়াছি সাধু মুখে বলে সর্বজন sakhi gani anugato narotame koridesha samone anugato Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai, Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī Pād ki jai, Śrī Satyavrata Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Jai Jai Nityananda, Rohini Kumar, page 64. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Nityananda Rohini Kumar Jaya Jaya Nityananda Hare jato koriyo dalana papi pashandi jato koriyo dalana diyo hino jane koila
Dandava Pranama Vaishnavas. I recently saw a little message from Nimai Chaitanya Prabhu, and he said, "It's crazy here." I was thinking, actually, the entire material world is crazy. And sometimes it's a little crazier, and sometimes less. But how do you counteract mundane craziness? by becoming crazy for Krishna. It's really the only counteraction. When we're looking toward the material energy, that will make us mad for matter. And when we're looking toward the spiritual energy, that will make us mad for Krishna. For every spiritual thing, there is a perverted, reflected counterpart. Material, perverted reflection. So in this world, we see so much madness and craziness abounding, but we can just absorb ourselves in Krishna and let all of that other madness and craziness do whatever they're going to do, and we must do what we're going to do, which is to focus, to enter deep into trying to develop love and affection for Krishna in the wake of the true Brajavasis, our Guru Varga, and by that we will become mad for Krishna. Completely mad, which is fine. We spoke about that the other day, so I'm not going to go any further. But what is the real anti-pollution for all of the mundane sound vibration? Have you seen that? They've actually printed it on a pamphlet and they used to distribute it. Our Gurudev gave a beautiful, powerful lecture about the power of the holy name. And there he's talking about anti-pollution. What is pollution? There are so many different kinds of pollution. There's pollution in the air, there's chemical pollution, there's pollution in the water, but really all kinds of pollutants ultimately begin with sound pollution and mind pollution. Maybe it comes here first and then comes out here, or maybe it comes out of here first and then here. Either way, they support each other. Vacho vegam, manasa vegam. So the urges of the mind and the urges of speech. Vacho is speech, mano is the mind. When mundane sound vibration is uttered, it creates a material environment, which is actually pollution. In Śrīmad Bhagavatam, in the section of Krishna book, I can't remember exactly where, maybe in Krishna's Dwarka pastimes, there Srila Prabhupada writes in the purports that Mother Earth can tolerate almost anything. She can bear almost anything, but she cannot bear the weight of lies, of liars. And so how does she react? With natural disasters and all kinds of things like famine and disease and everything else. What is lying? Anything which is not for Krishna's pleasure and happiness actually is a lie. If you think about it, that's mine, this is my body, I am this person, it's all a lie. What's true? We are all eternal servants of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord of everything. And Srimati Radhika is the superior personality. In other words, our Gurudev would establish based on the fact that she is Krishna's plain Guru. That's the truth. So the more we speak the truth, the more it counteracts the lies. And the best form of truth, especially in this Kali Yuga, is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, especially the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we engage in speaking about those same lies, but from the negative perspective or the other perspective, it won't necessarily benefit us or anyone else. But if we give the positive solution is Krishna, then everything can become rightly and righteously situated. By the power of Krishna Katha, by the power of glorifying Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes, then all of that pollution can be defeated. Harinam is the ultimate anti-pollution. Srila Gurudev explained like throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripples will go from that one little place to every edge of that pond. In the same way, sound vibration does not end. It continues in all directions forever. They say energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is only transmitted from one form to another. So, when you vibrate this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Srila Gurudev said even persons or animals or any creature who's undergoing some difficult situation, will be benefited because that sound vibration will somehow touch them. But the vibration will go in all directions and also up, and can even reach up into the transcendental realm if it is pure Harinam, and take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So this is the real pollution for all kinds of, the real anti-pollution for all kinds of pollution. Even chemical pollution, all kinds of dirty things. Because Hare Krishna Mahamantra cuts through Maya, that which is not. Maya cannot remain or reside close to where Krishna is. She holds her head in shame and stands at a distance. This is said in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So how is it possible that Maya can go into Vaikuntha, into Ayodhya, into Dwarka, into Goloka Vrindavan, into Krishna's pastimes, into the intimate Nikunja pastimes of Radha and Krishna at Govardhan and Radha Kund, and then distract the minds of anyone and pull them into this material world? She can't even cross the Viraja, the dividing line between the material and spiritual realms, because she is that which is not, Maya. So, if we want to help the madness of this environment, then we should follow Mahaprabhu's instruction. He is Jagat Guru. He knows best. He is also the Supreme Lord with an extra added supremacy, the combined form of Radha, Vinod Bihari, is Sachinandan Gaura Hari. So, he is instructing what is the para upakar, the best thing that we can do for all others? Jive Doya, Krishna Nam. Give mercy to the jivas. Why? How? Tell them about Krishna. Give them the holy name of Krishna. Somehow or other, bring Krishna to someone. This is real mercy to the jivas. One should always take shelter of Harinam, and one should always serve the Vaishnavas, especially Sri Guru. Srila Prabhupada said, madness is the sum total of all ignorance. When questioned by a reporter who said, wouldn't it be better to say the materialists are ignorant instead of calling them mad? So he said it is the sum total of all of our ignorance. He has also said, when speaking about the 26 qualities of a devotee, mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, starting with Kripalu, Akrita Droha, Satya Sarasama. At the very end, he said, oh, one more. You have to be a little bit mad. Mad for Krishna. Mad also means you don't fit in with society. So if we're trying to fit in with society materially, then we're not actually practicing properly. We should be trying to fit in with our Gurudev and our Guru Varga. We should try to do what is pleasing to them, not what is pleasing to the senses of the materialists of this world. What my Gurudev liked, I should try to be part of that. What my Guru Varga liked, I should try to be part of that. That is my family, and I will carry their flag. Not any other flag, their flag. What is their flag? And Mahamantra. So we're wearing our tilak, we dress as they like, we wear our tilak, we chant Mahamantra, maybe the flag is our Japamala also, showing that I want to be, or I am, but I want to be a devotee of Krishna. And if anyone sees it, immediately they will think Krishna, or they will ask, what are you about? Or they might just keep looking, and then you ask them, do you want to know? When we were in London, we went to one shop, I can't remember the name. Sudevi?
Well, I don't know what you're going to say.
There was one young woman, Muslim woman. Primark. Can you tell?
One sec, I have Thakurji stuff everywhere.
Sudevi's sewing Thakurji stuff, as she always is. Pretty much all day, right into the night.
No, it's not all I do.
And she cooks for Thakurji, and she cleans for them, and she dresses them.
Anyway, so, my friend Nandini, Niti Sharma, Nandini and I, we were in Primark. And we were there, and we were wearing tilak, but we were just kind of shopping around. And all of a sudden a Muslim lady came up to us.
She was pretty young, no?
Yeah. And she was like, please don't be offended, but I've been wanting to ask you, what is on your head? What is that? What does it signify? And so then we began to tell her how happy we were that she asked us. I mean, we're wearing something on our heads, it does give cause for questioning. So we were like, oh, it's good. She goes, oh, I was so afraid to offend you. And so we said no. And then we began to tell her about Tilak and Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And she asked, oh, so in the end, you become one with God. And we said, no, we serve God, we love God. And we began to tell her about bhakti. And she was so excited. She's like, this resonates with me. It sounds like this is what my heart is crying out for. And she wrote down Tilak and she wrote down Vaishnava so that she could look it up and find out more. It had nothing to do with the body, nothing to do with her religion or our religion. It was about the truth. And it was the beauty of that she was attracted to. But if we weren't wearing Tilak, she would never have had the opportunity to approach us, to ask us. And she came up to us, we're two women. It wasn't a kirtan outside where people are moving and there's a bunch of people. And no, just shopping around. And once also we were in Covent Garden, my niece and I, and we were walking. And we had Tilak on. Oh, Nandini's there. And we had Tilak on. And I was with my niece. I forgot her name, but we were together. And we were standing there and some guy looked at us and goes, oh, you're Hare Krishnas. I didn't know you people did normal things like shop. And my niece said, oh, that's because we're superheroes. We usually disguise. And the guy started laughing. She's like, when we're superheroes, we wear the sign, the tilak. She goes, otherwise we're in hiding. But we notice that when we're just out doing normal things, walking around, shopping, sitting in the park. We were walking once in Switzerland, Zurich. The three of us, Kishori Mohan, my niece and I, we were walking and a man was walking behind us. And he walked past us and he turned around and looked at us and kept walking. And then he stopped and he turned around and he said, you know what? I felt that there was something around you, some kind of vibration. And when I looked back, because you were wearing that thing on your forehead, I had the courage to stop and to approach you. He said, you guys just have the best energy. And he wanted to know what we were wearing on our foreheads. Because we had it, he thought, oh, I can stop and talk to them. He said, otherwise I was going to keep going. Right. But he said, it gave me courage. You guys are different, so what is it? And we were able to talk about Gaudiya Vaishnavism and Bhakti and Krishna. So wearing tilak as a normal everyday thing, this makes people want to know what is it. Not just when we're on the streets and doing kirtan, but every action, everything we do, when they see that we're doing even normal things like, I don't know, shopping, going to Primark, whatever it might be.
Marks and Spencers.
They come up and they're like, what is this? It's so attractive, it's so interesting. Please tell me, why are you doing this? And then if you in turn have an answer and you have something to give them, like maybe a book. I think Nandini and I were like, we should just carry small books with us in case people ask. But it's the one thing we always do, no matter, even if I'm wearing jeans, I still wear my tilak. There's never a time when we go out when we are without wearing tilak, because that is representing Gurudev, and it also stops us from doing stupid things, like thinking, oh, no one will notice us here. When you wear tilak, everyone notices you.
And you have to represent.
Nowadays, people want to have crazy hair, or they have a million tattoos, or they dress really crazy to try to stand out, to show I'm different. All you have to do is wear tilak, and everyone's going to know something's up. You're special.
And believe it or not, people are searching.
They're searching.
As Prahlad Maharaj said, everyone is searching for their dearmost friend.
And that dearmost friend is Krishna.
And that dearmost friend is Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said there is no lack of want for this transcendental knowledge. Means that so many are actually searching for it. Everyone is searching for something more real. Because all we've ever known is the temporary, the brokenheartedness, life after life after life, as Srila Gaura Govinda Mahārāja would say, disappointed, disappointed, life after life, time and time again, even within every life. So we're searching for something which is more along the nature of our soul, which is something which is sat, eternal. And we're frustrated in this material world because everything that we experience here has its temporary nature to it. And that's not in alignment with the nature of our soul. And because everything is untruthful in the material world, all material things are actually not really truth. Then also frustration comes because we're naturally seeking what is true. What is that? Our relationship with Krishna. And we're also naturally seeking eternal ananda because that is the nature of our atma, eternal bliss and pleasure and happiness in service. But in this material world, we're finding that it always gets frustrated. As a result of frustrated expectation, then disappointment comes. So experiencing all of these things, asat, achit, nirananda, it becomes frustrating. And the only way to undo that is to seek after what is sat, what is chit, and what is ananda. And then our souls will flow like they should, like water flowing to the ocean of Krishna's mercy.
Haripriya just said that she was in a grocery store once and she told somebody about it, and she was a devotee of Krishna. And the lady said, "Oh, I love God too." And it just reminded me of a couple of times. Once we were staying at my mom's, and one day we went in just completely decked out. It was like a festive day up in Badger, and we went to get water and all kinds of things to bring up. But I was wearing a sari, we were decked out, and the grocer looked at us. She's like, "Oh my God, you guys look amazing." And then, we were telling her where we were going, what we were doing, and then she goes, "Do you make Indian food? Can you make Indian food?" And we said, "Yeah, and she goes, "Please bring me some. I love Indian food. Please bring me Indian food." So she was naturally just asking for prasadam. And then one time we were in...
Every time we saw her, she's like, "So when are you going to bring it?"
Then we were in Trader Joe's. And we were,
If you don't know what Trader Joe's is, look it up.
We were in Trader Joe's and we were buying all kinds of beautiful things for Thakurji. And this person was like, "What did you guys do? What were you doing?" And we were like, "Oh, well, we're Hare Krishnas and we do kirtan." She goes, "Oh, I thought you were going to a wedding." And we said, "No, we do kirtan, we chant and we sing." And she's like, "Well, what are you waiting for? Sing." So we started singing,
Krishna Govinda Govinda, like really soft, right, just for her.
She goes, "Why are you singing so low? Sing loud so everyone in the store can hear."
Or was that Chicago?
And so we started singing really, really loud. And everyone in the store, they just stopped in their tracks and were just watching
Then
us.
they came and surrounded us.
And so when we were done, everyone in Trader Joe's started clapping. And we left. And then we were once in Bed Bath & Beyond. And one young boy, he saw us, he goes, "Are you yogis? Are you yogis? Do you do yoga?" And we're like, "Yeah, we do bhakti yoga." He's like, "Oh my God, I want to do bhakti yoga. I want to do this." People become so excited when they see devotees. Especially, honestly, it might be intimidating when there's a kirtan going on and you're running through the streets with a bunch of cymbals and mridangas and dancing and flaying around your arms everywhere. But if you're just walking down the street or in a store or just being...
Or in the tube.
And people can actually talk to you. They don't feel intimidated. We're not going up to them, pushing anything on them, but they come up and they say, "What is this? Please help me. I want to understand." I know I've told this, but once we were on... I know you want to say.
That's what I was leading up to with that previous thing.
We were on our way to Badger. And we had, on the way up to Badger, to New Braj, there's all kinds of fruit stands. Are you not talking about that?
Yes.
So there's all kinds of fruit stands. And we got out and we did, oh no, we were looking for a program.
That's what I wanted to add.
Oh, so we were looking, why don't you tell it? Sorry.
So we were up in Badger and we wanted to try to follow Gurudev's order and do programs, and we were kind of just trapped up there in the mountain. As anyone knows, it's quite entrapping sometimes. And so it was a group of us, Sudevi, myself, Radhika, Ahuja, and
maybe my brother or Dom.
Yeah. Was Jonathan there too?
No.
No?
No.
Anyway, 5 or 6 of us, and we actually went to Fresno,
we went to a Hindu temple.
We were looking for a place to just do a kirtan and a program where we may be received. We were actually going from place to place.
We actually ended up going to my grandma's house and scaring her.
Yeah, but we still talked about Krishna to her. So she asked about it. But anyhow, there was no venue for us, and so we decided, okay, well, after a couple hours of searching, and we did get to speak about Krishna to Sudevi's grandmother, then we decided to go back up the mountain. So we stopped at a fruit stand just at the bottom of the mountain before going up. And as we were there at the fruit stand, we all had our, the dhotis and saris and tilak on and everything. At that moment,
a car comes peeling up behind us.
Oh, it was a little frightening because he was like...
And the guy just gets out of the car, slams the door. Where have you been? We're like, what?
I've been searching for you everywhere.
And the wife and the kids get out. They're like, oh, thank God we found you. And we're just staring at them going, we don't know you. And then the wife says, he said, every weekend we drive the mountains looking for the Hare Krishnas, for the devotees. The wife said, we heard that there was a devotee community. And my husband makes the kids and I get in the car every weekend and we drive the mountains searching for the devotees. And he's like, after all this time, we finally found you. And then he started asking, where is your center? Do you have any books in the car? Do you have any prasadam? And we did.
We had books and we had CDs available.
And I think we had some prasadam too.
It might be, yeah.
Anyway, we just gave them everything we had and told them where we were doing our kirtan. But just because we were dressed, not as Western people, but because we could be identified. Those are seekers of the truth. Those are bhaktas. Those are Hare Krishnas. Those are Vaishnavas. People want to know. They're ready. They're waiting. They're dying for this. Not everyone, but many.
Whether they realize it or not, their soul is craving that.
They're dying for it.
So they are dying for it.
Yeah.
Because what happens to anyone who's not engaging in bhakti? Every time it says it's like suicide of the soul. They're just continuing their cycle of repeated birth and death. So they're literally dying in want of that, in need of that. And we have the ability or capacity to share something which can benefit them eternally. So now we will sing Ujjvala Gora Varadeham, page 270. 270. Now that Isha Thakurani just said that, once upon a time, we went to see Gurudev. This was that year that they made the advisory council and then the executive committee members of the advisory council. And we were literally in meetings for like 4 or 6 hours a day. And it was quite concerning for us that we had to be in meetings all through Kartik for 6 hours a day. Anyhow, we had followed Gurudev's instruction. He gave an instruction that I want a name for my Sangha. It must have international, it must have pure, it must have bhakti, and it must have society in it. But we should take a vote. He said I wanted basically democratic vote on the name for my Sangha. So we put a lot of energy into it, trying to get so many different ideas, and finally something came out, and it came as International Pure Bhakti Society with the word yoga in there. So International Pure Bhakti Yoga Society. And Gurudev liked it, and he accepted it, and he said, yes, it should be. So we were there to present to him the minutes of our meetings. And we were all sitting there just before the program. We were at Govardhan before the program began. And Gurudev was putting on his tilak at that time. He was dressed impeccably, and he was putting on his tilak very carefully. He had his mirror, and he was putting it on, and we were just silently there watching. And he took quite a long time to do it. It was meticulous. Not like, some of us, we just kind of like boom, boom, and we're done. But he spent minutes, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, trying to get it perfect. And sometimes his finger was shaking and he would mess up a little bit here. So then he would take the cloth and wipe it off, and then grab a little more tilak on his cloth and put it on until it came out absolutely perfect. What was he going out to do? He was going out to represent his Gurudev, his Guru Varga, the most distinguished personalities in all of the universe. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Radha and Krishna. He was dressed in his saffron cloth, but impeccably. He put on his tilak with great intention. Actually, we heard from one devotee that when he's putting on his tilak, he's not saying Om Keshavaya Nama Om Nama. He's saying, using the finger of intention, saying Radha and Krishna should happily meet in Vrindavan forever. I want nothing more than this. But what verse he says? Tavaivasmi, Najibami Tvayabina, Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvang Nayamam Charanantike. This is how he would say that verse. And really it means, he's praying to Srimati Radhika, I am yours. Tava eva asmi. I am yours. I am yours. In every situation. Najibami Tvayabina. My life, everything belongs to you. So with this kind of mood of complete, one-pointed, exclusive surrender to the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, he's putting on his tilak with intention. And then after he finished putting it on perfectly, he had a very small little comb. And he brushed his eyebrows like this. And then he was ready to go to do the program. So I just wanted to share that with you, that it was quite amazing and quite inspiring to see the attention he put into that detail, because it wasn't just something that you do because you're supposed to. For him, there was a lot of intention, a lot of focus, and a lot of prayer behind what he was doing. And there was also intention for how he was representing. And so when Isha Thakurani wrote that, then I thought, yes, when we were having darshan of Gurudev and watching him put on his tilak, how careful and how meticulous, how important it was for him. And even when Srila Prabhupada would see all of the devotees with tilak, he would say it's like Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha not necessarily meaning but Nārāyaṇ's Vaikuntha, but Vaikuntha meaning the spiritual realm. So, sometimes people will make fun of the tilak. They will look and say, oh, it's like a bird got you. Or one man said to Sudevi and her friends and family, what's with the frosting? Like, the cake frosting? Like they missed it and left some frosting on their head. But anyhow, it gives the opportunity to speak about Krishna. Not only is it purifying for us, but anyone who sees tilak, Hari Bhaktivedānta says, it is like seeing the chakra on top of the temple of the Lord. At that moment, their samsara is cut. That means they've been rotating like this forever. And now, cut. That means that fan has been unplugged. It might still rotate for some time, but it's the beginning of the end. Just seeing that. It is a sanskar, and it is also sukriti. And it is the foot dust of the gopis. So yesterday we were speaking about the most powerful substances. Bhakta Padadhuli, that is the foot dust of the pure devotees of the Lord. And who more than Srimati Radhika and the gopis? So just by placing this on our heads and our bodies, what kind of powerful effect is there? So now we will sing Ujvala Varuna Gaura Varadeham Vilasati Niravadi Bhavavideham, page 270.
Bhairavi.
Say Chiram Manjiram Jitam Adajunamaduram Chandra Vindindritam Shitalavataram Chandra Vindindritam Shitalavataram Pranamami Śrī Durjano kalmasho Śrī Satyavrata Muni. We were just talking about tilak, and here it said Ujvala Tilakam. Malayaja Virachita Ujvala Tilakam. His body is adorned with bright tilak made from or made of Malay sandalwood. Wow. And something else, Bhushana Bhuraja Alaka Valitam. You've all heard of gopi dots. Have you heard of alakavali? Alakavali is the Sanskrit term, also Hindi term, for those dots. But originally for Mahaprabhu, and also for Krishna, but originally for Mahaprabhu, it's not that he's decorated just with dots like this. But we have heard, here it says, his curling locks of hair are ornamented by the dust of the earth, which rises as he dances. Bhushana Bhuraja Alakavalitam. So as the dust is rising, and he's perspiring, and his hair is moving, it's creating so many different beautiful designs on his forehead. It's different at every moment. Beautiful alakavali on his face. So we can't even imagine how beautiful Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be. Combined form of Radha and Krishna in praying, dancing in ecstasy. For some reason, because I just said Krishna, I was thinking that we already sung for Krishna, but we have not. Let's sing for Radha and Krishna together. Hindi bhajan. Anupama Madhuri Jari Hamare Shyam Shyama Ki. So Radha and Krishna. Shyam is Krishna, Shyama is Srimati Radhika. And there's a difference between the two in terms of how you pronounce them. One is Shyam, that is Krishna, and the other is Shyama, Srimati Radhika. And that is page 364. Sudevi? Oh, it's frozen? No, it's not frozen. Anupama Madhuri Jodi Hamare Shyama Shyama Ki. Anupama Madhuri Jodi Hamare Shyama Shyama Ki. Rasi Raso Bhari Akiya Hamare Shyama Shyama Ki. Rasi Raso Bhari Radhanand Shrimati Radharani ki jai, Shri Krishna Kanhaiya Lal ki jai. Sudevi?
Yeah.
Can you tell what Gurudev said that time in Mugulamba when you were reading that? I think it was Jai Radhe Jai Krishna. Mm-mm. We can save it for his appearance day. How about that? Dandavat Pranam Vaishnavas.
I think it's nice when you tell it.
So Devi had just led Jai Radhe Jai Krishna Jai Vrindavan with Esraj Prabhu, Braj Prabhu. He plays the Esraj. It was done for Srila Gurudev's pleasure. And afterwards, Srila Gurudev, he was speaking about alap and how at any time in the kirtan one should call out when their heart reaches a point of exultation, in feeling, in emotion, then they should call out the names of the Lord. And then at that point, and you can hear it on the recording also, Gurudev just started with Gaurahe, 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 Gaurahe. And all the devotees repeated after him. Then he said, Nitai He. And all the devotees repeated after him. Then he said, Radhe He, Krishna He. Very slowly and beautifully. And all the devotees were repeating after him. But you could hear when he was doing it, when he was singing like that, he had his eyes closed and he was calling out. And then you could hear him, he was shaking. When he was calling out like that, he had his eyes closed with deep intention, calling out in the mood of separation. It was very powerful to be there in front of him, and he was showing all devotees really how to do kirtan. It's not about musical ability or technical ability or expertise in any way. The only expertise that is required is the mood in the heart, that love and affection, to call out with that mood of desperation, that mood of intense eagerness and greed, samutkanta. With that, Krishna becomes attracted. And then that can become kirtan. Otherwise, as Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Mahārāja said, that Mahaprabhu said that any other kind of music which is not done exclusively for the pleasure of Krishna or his pure devotees, that comes in the category of vice. Vice meaning those activities which are actually not bhakti and unfavorable for bhakti. So if we're just doing music, even kirtan, just for our own pleasure in essence. I like the sound, I like the groove, you feel that? And everyone's like, yeah, like that. And maybe for showing off. What does it attract? It can attract wealth. It can attract all kinds of sense gratification. You know, the guy's showing off with his mudanga and Bundy bursts open and the muscles are showing, and sure enough, a couple girls in the crowd are like, ah, like that. It just happens. Like that. It can attract all kinds of sense gratification, and definitely it can attract pratishta, name, fame, glorification. Oh Prabhu, that was the most wonderful, beautiful thing I've ever heard. And you get that kind of thing. Oh, that was so sweet. You know, you have no ego. Someone told me that the other day. You have no ego. And I was like, just ask my wife. I think she'll give you a different story. So, anyhow, these kind of things come. This glorification. Mahaprabhu said, I don't want any of it. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam va jagarisha kame. What do I want? Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatar bhakti rahoiti kitvai. I only want causeless devotional service for you, birth after birth, in whatever situation I may be. But I don't want wealth. I don't want followers. And so much lofty glorification. This is sundarim kavitam. So many saying, oh, you're wonderful, you're this, you're that, and everything else. makes your ego feel good. I don't want any of these things. That's why so many qualified persons did nirjan bhajan. Nirjan means, in a way, when they're qualified, then they can be away from everyone else. And even some personalities who are quite eccentric, and maybe we were talking about divine madness, like Banshidas Babaji and Gauridas Pandit, but Banshidas Babaji, Gaur-Kishoredas Babaji Mahārāja, they were in very interesting situations. Srila Gaur-Kishoredas Babaji Mahārāja chose to live in the latrine, the public latrine. And when asked, why are you there? We can make you a nice bhajan kutir outside. He said, I prefer the stench of this place to the stench of the materialism outside. Like Śrīla Gosvāmī, he didn't want to also come out of his mother's womb. 16 years he remained inside until Vyasadeva said to him, please come out, manifest out. For what purpose? Vyasadeva told him, don't worry, the material energy will not touch you. So when he had his word, then Śrīla Gosvāmī came out. And then when Vyas was calling for his son, that was material energy, it didn't touch him whatsoever. He just kept walking. So Banshidas Babaji Maharaj also would, they said there was like beady, little butts of beaties around his cottage and fish bones and other things that people would just stay away and not disturb him. The materialists would not come for any ulterior motives. Like, read my palm. Please bless me and my family that we can be happy and healthy, that we can do this and that and enjoy in this world. All of these kind of things people also come to the sadhus for. They don't always want the real thing. Please bless me so I can be happy in my material life. Sadhu is not here for that purpose. Sadhu is here to cut all of our material attachments, to sever those attachments, and to bring us the truth. That is sadhu, one who is always in touch with truth and who manifests that truth in our hearts. Krishna, what is it? Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sarma. Krishna Prapti Hoy Jaha Hoite. They manifest Krishna in our hearts. That is sadhu. So if we come to sadhu, then we should expect the result of being in the association of sadhu. The result of really taking the association of sadhu and being in their association is that Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayat Ahoitikam. This is a simple test for if we're progressing on the path of bhakti or not. And what is it? Well, one is actually engaging in the process of bhakti, which also is defined as being under guidance of the sadhu, then janayatyashu vairagyam jnanam chayarahoitukam. Two things will naturally manifest as the result of engaging in the positive process of bhakti. Vairagyam, detachment from material things. And also jnanam, transcendental knowledge will manifest. So by that transcendental knowledge manifesting in the heart, prema bhakti jaha hoite, then automatically all attachment for the material things will gradually dissipate. If that is not taking place, then we should know that we are not actually following the process of bhakti properly. As our Srila Gurudev would explain, there is some loop and hole. In other words, there's some hole in your pot. There's some defect in your practice or your process. If what is increasing as a result of your bhakti is material attachment, is attachment to wealth and sense gratification and all kinds of things like that, and the increase of that, then we have not followed the process properly. That is why it is necessary to always be under guidance. Otherwise, very easily we can be misled or led astray, if not by anyone else, by our own minds, by our own material desires. Gurudev said that if one is not following Sri Guru and Vaishnavas exclusively and properly, and that is defined as those who are actually representing Sri Guru Parampara, then they are bound to become sahajya, means to create or concoct your own path and to go off of the path of pure bhakti. But Srila Gurudev was here only to give that pure bhakti. If anyone wanted anything else, any material or mundane thing, he would say, I cannot give this to you. I cannot give you poison. If you really want poison, you can go to the market, purchase it yourself, take it yourself. But don't ask me to give it to you. I cannot. In this connection, once upon a time, we were in Śrīla Gurudev's room for a darshan, and I think it was almost time for the class. And most of the devotees had left, but there was one elderly Bengali, one devotee couple from Bengal in front of him. And they were quite elderly. I think they must have been in their 70s. And Śrīla Gurudev was chastising them, and her also. What are you doing? And he was telling her, you should let him focus his energy on his devotion. Why are you holding him back? You should let him go, let him go. And he said, what are you doing? You're still so attached. Gurudev was really giving it to them. And they were like this. And Gurudev was very clear. It's time to allow each other to have full concentration, 100% on Krishna. Don't try to take each other's energy for each other. Try to devote your time and energy exclusively to Krishna. Gurudev was putting the pressure on them, actually, which was quite interesting to watch. So, he allows us according to our capacity until a certain point. But if he sees any possibility of someone about ready to move forward on the path of devotion, he will take that opportunity and push. We have personally experienced it. He took that opportunity and he pushed. When we were managing that farm in Fiji, 300 acres. We had 10 people working for us. We were selling 1 metric ton, that's 1,000 kilos, or 2,000 pounds of taro root, dalo, every week. And then we had other cash crop, kava, hypermethisticum. That was the other cash crop that took 3 or 4 years, and we had maybe 100 acres planted. We were going to be wealthy. We thought we had about $1 million or $500,000 worth of crops in the ground. And Śrīla Gurudev came to Fiji, and when he was in the airport, I think he was about ready to leave. He said, what are you doing with your time? I said, I'm managing the farms. And he said, managing the farm, 24 hours a day managing. And I said, yes. He said, do you own it? I said, no. He said, what time is there for Krishna? I said, none. And he said, what is the use? Better you should use your energy for preaching. He was quite strong and strict. Better you should use your energy for something else. And then that next Kartik is when he gave us the order. And then after that, we were in Australia again with Gurudev. And he was like, where are you going next? And Sudevi said, back to Fiji where we live. Gurudev was in front of her with his finger in her face. I don't want you in Fiji. I want you traveling the world and preaching. We didn't have much of a choice after that. Gurudev saw an opening. And that little opening, he went in and just separated us from that thing. And we weren't able to take anything from there. And he just sent us traveling the world. So, if Gurudev sees that there's a potential, let's say we're sitting on the edge of the water, dipping our toe, and thinking about going in, but there's potential, he'll come and push as hard as he can. If we give him the opportunity, most of us don't want to give that much opportunity, or we bind ourselves to the banks. Gurudev would frequently tell one katha of a wedding party. And that wedding party was meant to be at a certain place by a certain time in the morning to perform that wedding at the auspicious time. So they calculate everything astrologically. When is the auspicious time for the marriage to take place? So that wedding party got on the boat, and the boat had a upper and lower layer, deck, and then underneath. Gurudev said that all of the boats, persons, all of the customers that went underneath, and they began having a party, taking bhang and ganja and whatever else, drinking and intoxications of all kinds. And they had already told the boatman to row. So all night the boatmen were rowing. And when the party came up in the morning, they were looking, hey, we haven't moved one bit. What have you guys been doing? And they said, look, we are sweating. We've been working hard all night, rowing and rowing and rowing. Well, why haven't we gone? And the boatman, look, you didn't untie the boat from the dock. It was the responsibility at that time of those persons, of the wedding party. So the boatmen were rowing hard all night, and what was the result of all of their hard work? Shrama eva hi kevalam. There was nothing. There was no result from all of their hard work. Why? Because they kept all of their attachments. If we keep all of our material attachments, then how are we going to progress? So Srila Gurudev would tell this katha to give us an idea that we need to let go of those things so that we can accept the positive, so that we can accept the path of bhakti and move forward on the path of bhakti. So we don't want to be like those drunken wedding party goers who were not able to make their destination. They missed the time slot. In that case, was it Lochan Das? Sings that Kejabi Bhai Bhava Sindupar. Poriya Rohilo Lochan. What is it? All are crossing over this Bhava Saga, this ocean of material existence, on the boat, which is guided by Sri Guru, with the upraised, the Sankirtan party with its upraised arms are the oars, and praying is the favorable wind which is pushing this boat across. All are able to cross over. Only myself, Apanara Doshe, due to my own fault, I have been left behind. In other words, I missed that boat because of my unawareness or my laziness or my unwillingness. So we don't want to be left in that situation. In order to actually receive what Sri Guru wants to give, we have to put down the other things that we're so attached to and holding on to. And it may be a gradual process, a little bit at a time, something, and then he can place other things in that place. But if we have our hands full of all of our mundane material luggage, baggage, they call it baggage, all of that stuff, then how can we receive what Gurudev wants to give? Gurudev's got something, the most heavy thing, his most valuable treasure. He has the most, what is it? Chintamani. He has this most valuable treasure he wants to give us, and we're like, but my iPhone, my iPad, my this, my that, my furniture, my dog, my cat, my body, my everything. I can't take that. I can't take that. And Gurudev is trying again and again. When we were in Murwillumbah, Australia, at the home of Braj Mandal Parikrama, this was early on, Srila Gurudev said that I don't need you to make my bhajan successful. I was happily doing my bhajan in Vrindavan, but I have come here for all of you, to help you. So please, take my time, take my life seriously. I have come to help you. Take it seriously. And what he said, but what he meant by seriously, he actually gave a concession. If even you accept even a little bit, like a smell, he said, just a smell of what I'm trying to give you, your life will be successful. Okay, so now we're going to sing Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam. And you all know the page number. A pop-up just came. Somebody died, 87 years old, in the Republican Party. Hare Krishna. This place, Padam Padam Yad Vipadam Natesham. It is a place where there's danger at every step. But one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna, taking shelter of Sri Guru, Mahatpada Punya Yashomarare, Bhavamudir vatsa padam 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 yad vipadam natesham. That ocean of material existence, which is practically insurmountable, is rendered insignificant as much as the water in the hoofprint of a calf if one surrenders to Krishna. Samashritaye padapallavaplavam. So, I don't even know that person, but let us all just say one Hare Krishna, because that sound vibration is very powerful and beneficial. It may touch that person's subtle body or soul, and let them have the benefit of that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What tune of Damodarāṣṭakam are we doing today? Oh, yes. Page 290. All together. Namami Sharam Sachidananda Rupam Rasat Kundaram Gokule Brajamana Yashodabhiyorkham Radhavamanam Paramrishtam Grihane Shamadam Vedrakshidesha Namam Shanam Sachidananda Rupam Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki jai. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Shri Gurudeva Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Rupanu Guru Varga Ki Jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. Somehow the Tampura sounds forever linked to this one here. Gora Bahu Nabhajiya Premaratana Helayo Harainu. Yeah. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namahum Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Namahum Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Swāmini Namine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandavat Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Śrīmad Śrī Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And the same thousands of Dandavat Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, Ashto Tarashata Shri Śrīmad Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe 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 Shyam.
Radhe Shyam.
Almost 7:30 already.
No, 7:20, isn't it? So, in case some of you may not know, that verse, Mukham Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langayate Girim, Yakhripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. I say it at the end of my Mangala Charan, because that verse is very important and powerful. It has a very special meaning. Mukham Karoti Vachalam. Shri Gurum Dinataram, actually. By the mercy of Shri Guru, the impossible can become possible. Even someone who has no ability to speak. In other words, they have no tongue. They can offer beautiful poetry. Mukam karoti vachalam. And pangum langayate girim. And someone who is lame, who has no legs or has no ability to walk, can cross over mountains. And so really, for all of us, as we have been reading in Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam about the mood of humility, if we take that mood and approach our Gurudev, Gauranga, the Vaishnavas, Radha and Krishna, that I have no capacity, I have no qualification whatsoever, I have no good intelligence. What is my position? I have nothing. But I am yours, so you can do with me as you like. Then, if you wish to speak something through me, if you wish for someone to hear, then you may make that possible by your mercy. You can utilize this mouth to speak. You can utilize these legs to do whatever work you need to be done. Please utilize me as your instrument. And we know in the prayer by our Śrīla Prabhupada, let's see if it is here, probably not. I know one of them is, but not the other one. Bodo.
I think Krishna Tava Punya is there.
So Srila Prabhupada in that bhajan, Boro Kripa Koile Krishna Adhamera Prati, he said you could make...
I just wanted to make
Confirmed.
sure everyone's awake. Everyone's awake.
I am now. He said, you can make me a success or a failure as you like. I have been given this name, Bhaktivedānta. And so if you wish, then you can make this come true. Who is full of bhakti and who is also understanding and full of Vedanta, means knowledge of Shastra, who is able to also deliver that unto others. If you like, you can make that also come true. And he signs it, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar. In other words, he's, as Srila Bhakti Rakshak Śrī Maharaj said, manifesting this mood of emptying himself of anything else. There's nothing else there except this pure mood of exclusive surrender and devotion. And through that medium, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Śrī Maharaj said that he is, what more can I say? He's Shakti Avesh of Nityananda Prabhu. Means specially empowered by Nityananda Prabhu to fulfill this monumental task, this prediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where his name, Sarvatra Prachar Hoive Moranam, all over the world, my name will be preached, will be shared, will be chanted. And who did that? Our Srila Prabhupada. So with that mood, Mukam Karoti Vachalam, what do I have? What capacity do I have? As our Srila Prabhupada said, I am just like a puppet in your hands. Nachao Prabhu, Nachao. If you like me, if you would like me to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. So with this kind of mood, then anyone can approach. Today we heard from someone that another Vaishnava, another devotee said something to the effect of, even if a message came from Goloka Vrindavan, like this.
The opposite from them.
Yeah, that our understanding or our mood is better. There's no need to change this. I don't care what anyone has to say, even if something came from Goloka Vrindavan, I don't care. So this is the height of mundane egotism, to have this kind of mood. If all personalities who know, and even those personalities who are knowing the absolute truth, were to say something and I would refuse it because I know better, then this is not the qualification for being able to move forward on the path of bhajan or the path of bhakti. This is the height of mundane egotism. So, with the mood that one should feel lower than a straw in the street, one should be more tolerant than a tree, one should be ready to offer all respect to others and not expect it for themselves. In that way, one can take shelter of the holy name and chant the holy name constantly. So now we're going to Dandava Pranam. See you later. Devaki Didi. Radhe Radhe. Now we're going to enter into this beautiful transcendental treasure, Śrī Dāmodarāṣṭakam, manifested from the heart of Satyavrata Muni, placed in Padma Purana by Veda Vyas, commented on by so many of our acharyas, but within this particular treasure, we have the commentary of Śrī Sanātana Gosvāmī, then the translation of that commentary by our Param Gurudev, Śrīla Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, along with his added Bhav Anuvad, his commentary full of transcendental sentiments. And then we have, following that, the commentary of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta, Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. I was trying to point to a picture and 4 showed up immediately. So we have the commentary of our Srila Gurudev. And so we are eager to enter into this transcendental treasure and discover the gems which they have revealed inside. Before entering inside, we will pray to these personalities in the words of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Vairāga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnaya Apayanam Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripam Viryapara Dukuduki Sanatanastam Prabhum Ashrayami. Begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages manifest itself within our hearts. And we're almost finished with one of the footnotes of our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where Sri Pipalayan Rishi is giving, you could say, like a transcendental guidance to Gopakumar. And that is found in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So before continuing with verse 4, I think we did chant it twice, didn't we? While we were singing Damodarasṭakam. Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va na chanyam rinneham vareshadapi idam teva purnatha gopalabalam sada me manashyami rashtam kimanyai namami sharam sachidanandarupam lahasatkundalam gokule brajamanam. So, yesterday we were hearing how Pipalayan Rishi was telling to Gopakumar that why do you want to go anywhere else? Why do you want to see Krishna with your own eyes? With your material eyes? You know that you cannot see Bhagavan with mundane or material eyes. It requires spiritual vision. So really it is a matter of the mood in the heart. And if the question were to come up, well, I don't want to see in my heart, I want to see with these eyes, then the answer would be, Pipalayan Rishi is telling Gopakumar, but actually it is not the eyes that are the seer. It is the processing which is the seer. It is the person, the essence which is experiencing. It is not the eyes themselves or the senses themselves which are the experiencer. So since all experience takes place within the heart or the mind, then that is where the real darshan should be. And if the question comes, yes, but maybe still I want to see with the eyes. Sri Pipalayan Rishi explains that when you are seeing within the mind or the heart, it feels like you are seeing out of the material eyes, whereas actually it is only spiritual vision, even though it seems that you are seeing externally. So for every, you could say, doubt that would come, an answer has been given. So I'm just going to read this translation again. In other words, the purified mind is so subtle that it has the ability to become transparent. I don't know if I went that far. I went to that verse. Tat prasado daryad yatvat sukham vardheta manasam tavat vardhitum ishita nachanyad bahyam indriyam. Although the mind is limited, when it becomes pure, or when one receives the mercy of Sri Bhagavan, the happiness within the mind caused by his darshan increases more and more, and the mind expands to accommodate the magnitude of that joy. Only the subtle mind can expand like this because it is not gross like the external senses. The external senses can only accomplish so much, but within that experience can be even infinite because it can expand forever. So that is the experiencer that Sri Pipalayan Rishi is telling Gopakumar is the superior thing. It is the experiencer, not the sense itself. It is not the eye touching, connecting to the object of the eye, but rather it is the experience inside. And a proof of that would be simply that two people can see the same thing. And one person can have one kind of vision about it, and another person can have a completely different vision about it. Some people like these kind of curtains, and some people like, or maybe this color paint on the wall. And some people like vibrant baby blue, or vibrant hot pink, or any color you see all over Vrindavan. Some green color, vibrant, or toxic orange, or anything like that. And they like that. Whereas another person would be like, ooh, that's not good. So even though it is the same thing, the experiencer is experiencing differently. regardless of what the sense is sensing the same thing, but the experiencer is experiencing differently. So it is not about the sense itself. It is the experiencer who is experiencing. That is where the experience takes place. So in other words, the purified mind is so subtle that it has the ability to become transparent and attain resemblance with the soul. The purified mind is so subtle that it has the ability to become transparent and attain resemblance with the soul. Then the mind can perceive the form of Sri Bhagavan. It is well known that knowledge of an object only arises when the mind perceives its form. This attribute is not applicable to the other senses, because they are external, gross, and confined by material limitations. Someone may further argue, it is agreed, I'm still stuck in the Tatra Loyam Apimulyam Ekalam. It is agreed that vision of Sri Bhagavan in the mind is superior to seeing him with the eyes. But the supreme joy of requesting benedictions from him and conversing with him can only come when one sees him with one's eyes. Sri Pipalayan Rishi responds to this in the following verse. Antardhyanena drishtopi shakshat drishva iva prabhu kripa vishesham tanute pramanam tatra padmaja. When the mind becomes absorbed in uninterrupted meditation and Sri Bhagavan becomes visible within the heart, that vision is just like direct vision with the eyes. Only then the all-potent Lord becomes pleased and bestows special mercy upon the Jnani Bhaktas in different ways, like granting them boons. The evidence of this is Sri Bhagavan's behavior toward the first created being, the lotus-born Lord Brahma himself. So that vision in the heart is just like direct vision with the eyes. When the mind becomes absorbed in uninterrupted meditation. So the evidence is Lord Brahma. When Lord Brahma desired to create the universe full of living beings, he first became absorbed in meditating on Sri Bhagavan. Jiva Pavana Prabhu is asking the question, but isn't the subtle mind, no matter how much purified, isn't it still only subtle and not actually totally spiritual? Isn't this only for the Jnani Bhaktas? If one is actually able to have darshan of Sri Bhagavan, then it is not really through the medium of the mundane or material mind. Also, our soul has consciousness.
You have to wait a sec. Everyone has to refresh.
This is very refreshing, with everyone refreshing all at the same time.
Jiva Pavana Prabhu put when it,
yes.
he wrote something. Shouldn't the gopis also reject when presented to them by Krishna? But he told when it was gone.
But we should understand that when Krishna is telling them, they're already in their transcendental forms, completely free of all material bodies or material senses. They are transcendental completely. So when Krishna is telling them to, in essence, leave their transcendentalness, that's a little bit of an oxymoron. I think that's the word. It's a conundrum. That you must take this lesser thing than what you already have. So this has also been explained. The mind, in this case, can be said to be the mind of the soul. The soul itself is conscious. Chid Anand. It is naturally blissful. It is conscious and aware, and it has chit, relationship, bhav, love and affection. and also eternal existence. It is present there, all within the soul, including our own intrinsic, natural, serving nature to Bhagavan. In whatever form our Ishtadev is, our eternal worshipful Lord, that is also present within the individual soul at all times, forever. It is a part of our eternal inherent being, according to all of our acharyas, our Tattva Siddhant, our Param Gurudev, Bhaktivedānta Thakur, our Srila Gurudev, our Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gaura Govinda Mahārāja, all of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and our acharyas, that the soul possesses within itself all of its inherency, its particular serving nature to its particular Lord, that it already has eternally established inherent within himself, Srila Prabhupada writes. So that's all there, but all of those coverings are there, in essence not allowing it, the soul, and I'm saying it because I don't know if it's a he or a her transcendentally, but not allowing that soul to express its nature. So think about it like a gem inside a box. You know those Russian boxes? One inside the next, inside the next, inside the next. So we have so many layers. And then that can be buried underneath the ground, 20 feet under, with 10 pounds of cement on top of that, and then a big massive structure on top of that. But it still doesn't change the nature of that gem that's inside. It's only been covered and covered and covered, in essence not allowed to manifest its beauty and its nature. Sri Guru comes and does this hard work of digging. Sri Guru is mining for us, the jivas, these souls, to engage us in the service of Krishna. And so right now we're just not able to manifest our potential, but by coming into the association of Guru, Guru will help us to manifest that potential by engaging us in the service of Krishna. But that jiva itself is not a dead unit. It is conscious. It is made of love, in essence, for Krishna. And so it has its own mind. It has its own intelligence. It has its own particular nature. And it just needs to be allowed to be awakened. So in the case of... What did you want to add, Sudevi?
I'm wondering if this maybe goes along with this. That once I heard a darshan and Srila Gurudev was telling the GBC members, because they were asking, well, isn't this imagination? And Srila Gurudev explained that imagination is what you have not heard from the pure devotees. If you start to meditate on their words, on their Harikatha, on the sweet pastimes of Krishna that Guru has spoken and has given, he said this is not imagination, it is realized from the pure devotee. But if we ourselves just imagine that we're in that lila, yes, just like art. When you see art from Shamarani Didi that, you know, is guided by Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev, we have absolute trust in it. But when you see art that is just done by someone's imagination, you don't have that same reverence and that same appreciation all the time for it, because you see so many things that we know Gurudev or Srila Prabhupada wouldn't put there. So I wondered if that kind of
that's really good.
Helps a little.
It helps a lot. Thank you. Isn't the Siddha Deha required? Siddha Deha means transcendental form or transcendental body. Sometimes it is suggested that we will take a body. In essence, that something is superimposed over our soul in the transcendental realm. Sometimes it is said like that. For different persons at different times in different places. It's called Desha Kala Patra. It's time, place, and circumstance. According to that, it will be said one way. I have always understood from our Guru Varga that actually the soul itself has form. The The soul itself has its nature. And so to acquire that siddha deha does not necessarily mean that I'm going to put on a onesie, or what do you call those, those pajamas, right? It's a onesie. I'm going to slip into a suit, a full suit of something, and I will have a different form in the spiritual world. That there's some kind of closet there with suits, and we will all wait our turn to get our suit and put it on. Some people believe this. But the idea has been told before, but that is according to a certain kind of person and a certain kind of place and a certain kind of circumstance. Desha kala patra. We call it desha, kala patra desha. Time, place, and circumstance. Whereas, actually, Gurudev said the reality is much more amazing than we can ever understand through our material minds and senses. However, what I have heard from Gurudev and Vaishnavas and from Shastra is that the soul, in its completely transcendental, purified form, has its form. It just needs to be uncovered and awakened. And oh. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, don't we have to fully realize our siddha deha for full darshan and participation in lila? Technically, yes. We must. There's different kinds of siddhi, and vastu siddhi means the form. The perfection of our form must be there to fully realize. Realize doesn't mean just theoretically, but for it to become a reality, our relationship in lila with Krishna. That is necessary. And so, first of all, we will have to take birth from the womb of any gopi. When Krishna is performing his pastimes in any bhoma vrindavan, earthly pastimes, and then when Krishna winds up his pastimes and goes to the next location or to Aprakat or however, then we will also go along in our completely purified transcendental spiritual body. But even by that time, taking birth into the eternal association of Krishna, we should know that this is not anything mundane or material. It is also spiritual and transcendental. So our siddha deha must be fully realized. Otherwise, how can we perform that service? Who am I? On the spiritual level, on the soul level, that must be realized. What is my form? What is my service? What is my dress? What is my nature? Who is my Swamini? Is my master, in essence, is my Ishtadev, Ram or Dwarkadish or Nārāyaṇa or Krishna? And what is the nature of my particular service? All of these things must be realized and understood. And in this case, it is called Ekadash Bhav. Ekadash means 11. So 11 different spiritual bhavs. It says bhav, but bhav means moods or sentiments. So everything about that particular individual jiva, all of the different attributes, are actually manifestations of their bhav, their moods of loving service to Krishna. And it is an intrinsic part of themselves. So that must be realized or understood. And that realization actually comes through the uncovering. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadabhagni nirvapanam shreyakairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purnamritashvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur utilizes this particular verse to prove his point. The first verse of Śrī Satyavrata, that by cleansing that mirror of the mind, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, or cleansing the heart, gradually we will be able to perceive everything. Right now we have so much dust, or mud, or wood, or iron, or stone covering our mirror, in essence, so that we cannot see. So Srila Bhaktivedānta Mahārāja, you could say jokingly, probably not, said that for some who are very dense, it requires dynamite to be able to break through these coverings and see who we are. This is self-realization. And self-realization and God-realization will actually come at the same time. Real self-realization. Who am I really will also not necessarily bring who am I in relation with my eternal Lord. And so that God realization will also be fully manifest. At that point, then, Siddha is there. The residents of Tapalok haven't taken birth from the womb of any gopi.
But that doesn't mean that they're perfected in praying.
Yes.
So you see, according to your love, to your service and love of Krishna, you may see, but not through the eyes of love. Like Gurudev said, Krishna could manifest before us and we wouldn't recognize him.
I actually recall. Did you want to say that out loud?
No,
I hope you all heard that. Did you hear what Sudevi just said?
Just say it.
I can't tell it all like straight up like that. I can't remember any measurement without taking it 3 times.
What?
What were you just saying?
I was saying that we see, just because maybe anyone has had darshan of Krishna means they've seen Krishna. It doesn't mean that they've seen him through the eyes of love, of praying. So they're not really seeing him. Right? Like Gurudev said.
As he is.
Yes, Gurudev said that if Krishna were to stand in front of us, we may not even recognize him. We wouldn't know it was him because we don't have eyes of love. And sometimes he would give the example of Mathura when Krishna entered the wrestling arena, how everyone saw him according to their own mood. But if our mood is material, or our mood is of Aishwarya Gyan, or so many different kinds of services, we will see through that vision. We won't necessarily see through the eyes of praying. And that means that we're not really getting darshan of Krishna or real participation in that. Like, I don't think Tapaloka is an eternal place, like where people go eternally, which means that maybe, not just there, but you can have so many darshans, or even demigods have darshan of Krishna, but that doesn't mean that they have love for him, or actually participating in his lila. It's like an incidental part for his lila, but they're not really in
They're not seeing him proper.
Yes.
Like everyone on the battlefield of Kurukshetra saw Krishna.
Right.
But Krishna himself tells Arjuna, Bhaktatvananya Sakya Ahameve Vidorjuna, only by undivided, pure, exclusive, one-pointed love and devotion, Ananya Bhakti, can I be known as I am in truth. Gyatum Drashtum Chatatvena. Then you can see me as I am in truth. So that is also necessary. But something was lacking, therefore Gopakumar was dissatisfied. He wanted to see with his own eyes, but he wasn't able to see with any material eyes, anyhow. So for him to properly see fully, it was required for him to go forward from Tapalok. So actually the answer to your question, I remember from before, is going to be discussed further as we go along. It becomes pretty involved and quite interesting how this particular point of your question is discussed by our Guru Varga. So maybe we can patiently for the next 6 months, I don't know how much more the global lockdowns are going to continue, but it will manifest itself. But in order for us, or those persons who are actually seeking Braja Prem, for that darshan to fully manifest, one must enter into Braj proper, in the proper way, taking birth from the womb of a gopi. In Tapaloka, you're right, that has not taken place. And Gopakumar is desiring to see Krishna, but he's not satisfied in there. And so we will actually discover that what Pipalayan Rishi is telling to Gopakumar, it's falling short for Gopakumar because he's desiring something more than the gyan that Pipalayan Rishi is telling him. And it makes sense from a tattvic perspective. From the perspective, from tattva vichar, it makes sense, but yet the nature of that greed is such that it surpasses all of this tattva gyan, and that is really the nature of raganuga bhakti, that spontaneous flow. It defeats or walks on the head of all kinds of tattva gyan and tattva siddhanta. And so Gopkumar is still not satisfied. He wasn't satisfied not only in Tapaloka, he wasn't satisfied in Vaikuntha, he wasn't satisfied in Ayodhya or even Dwarka. He wasn't satisfied until he attained his highest or his own spiritual perfected position as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan playing with Krishna. That was his own eternal, natural, inherent position. So everything else was falling short. And just seeing the Lord within the heart, this was not enough for him. This is the goal of the yogis, and the yogis go to Tapolok. So from one perspective, yeah, it might be true, but from another perspective, he requires to see him and play with him and embrace him and go out grazing the cows with him and feed him and be fed by him and to wrestle and to joke and to do all of those things that cowherd boys do with Krishna. And so just to meditate on him and see him within his heart, this is not satisfying, and our Guru Varga will discuss this point in much more depth. I do remember that. I was thinking, yeah, that makes sense, but like you were doing, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. So, when Lord Brahma desired to create the universe full of living beings, he first became absorbed in meditating on Sri Bhagavan. He heard the word tapa. That's all he heard. Everything was black all around. He couldn't see anything. He didn't know anything. He was, in essence, in darkness. And he was even feeling a little fear from that darkness, naturally. And he heard the words tapa inside. And then he understood the meaning, and he began doing austerities. And from that, everything was manifesting. When he attained the final stage of meditation, or samadhi, the Lord granted him darshan, beholding him in the ecstasy of his trance. So within meditation, beholding the Lord in the ecstasy of his trance, Lord Brahma offered prostrated obeisance to Bhagavan, who personally caught hold of his hand and said, "I am pleased with your austerity. Ask for a benediction." When Brahma then requested a boon, he directly heard the Chatushloki, or the 4 original verses of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, from Śrī Bhagavan himself. This incident shows that after beholding Śrī Bhagavan in that state of samadhi, one experiences his most compassionate blessings, like him revealing his form to the devotee, granting benedictions, conversing with the devotee, touching the devotee, and so forth. For detailed information on this, one may deliberate on Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, and Canto 3, Chapter 8. There you go, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Canto 2, Chapter 9, Canto 3, Chapter 8. Also, we have heard that Lord Brahma received from Krishna. Krishna played his flute, and this is how Lord Brahma was initiated. He heard kling shabda, this sound, kling. And from that, he realized Kam Gayatri. And by that, he received the power to create. But that's not the only power of Kam Gayatri. So he was initiated by Krishna's flute. By Krishna, via the medium of his flute. And we receive that same mantra through our Guru Parampara. But what is the purpose of Krishna's flute? It's calling all of his jivas, all of his cowherd boys, or all of his cows, all of his gopis, and all of us also. That same flute song is coming down through the mouths of our Guru Parampara to all of us, inviting us. Now it is your turn to come and to play, really to serve in the transcendental pastimes, the Lila Vilas of Krishna. So we've got a lot of studying to do. Should we go to Śrīmad Bhagavatam 2.9 and 3.8? Or would you like to do that on your own? So, I do recall that this particular subject was discussed in detail because Gopkumar was not satisfied just hearing that you should meditate on him within your heart. for someone who is meant to play with Krishna, who has a natural aptitude of spontaneous love in Sakya Bhav, the idea of only meditating on him within one's heart is literally heartbreaking. What are you talking about? That won't be sufficient. It's not sufficient. How can I play with him? How can I serve him? Just meditating on him, this is not enough. In fact, in Krishna Deva Bhavantam Bande, what does Rupa Goswami say? Yadyapi samadhishu vidhirapi pashyati. Yadyapi means although. In complete samadhi, complete transcendental trance, where one's mind, where one is samadhi, equal with the absolute, meaning you're able to view or see or have darshan and experience the absolute. Yadyapi samadhishu vidhirapi pashyati nattava nakhagram marichim. Lord Brahma is not able to see or catch the dim glimpse of the effulgence coming from the toenails of Braj Krishna in complete samadhi. Rupa Goswami is saying this. So he's saying, although this is the case, still you have the power to make the impossible possible. Please allow my heart and my mind, which is like a bumblebee, always go to your lotus-like feet, which are like reddish lotus flowers. Even though it's practically impossible for him, Lord Brahma. So there's a certain aspect of Bhagavan that they can meditate on. But that Krishna of Vrindavan is a very, very different idea. He's not just to be meditated upon. He's not just to be glorified. The Vedas offer so many prayers, the Upanishads, the Rishicharis, the Municharis, they weren't satisfied just offering prayers. When they caught a glimpse of the Lord, they desired within their hearts to enter into those pastimes, and they actually took birth as gopis in Vrindavan, performed intense austerities. They did Katyayani Vrat, which is for those personalities. Why? They wanted to have Krishna as their husband. And so Katyayani Mahamai Mahayogindaneshwari Nandagopa Sutam Devam Patim Me Kurte Namaha. They were praying this prayer to have Krishna as their husbands, and then Krishna manifested in front of them, and of course he's known as Hari. He stole all of their clothes, and beautiful pastime ensued. They were all very, very, very young at the time, but anyhow, Krishna saw all of them. He claimed all of them, and then of course they entered into Krishna's pastimes and were able to serve Krishna in his pastimes. So they were not satisfied only glorifying, only thinking about Krishna. They also wanted to enter. Lakshmi Devi is not satisfied only being with Nārāyaṇa and Vaikuntha. When she saw Krishna performing such beautiful pastimes, she was thinking, wait a second, why am I not there? I'm with my Prabhu in every pastime, but not this one. There's a speciality in the Braj pastimes. To this day, she's still doing austerity over in Shrivan, Belman, praying for the chance to enter into Krishna's Rasa Lila pastimes. But he made a requirement. So did Yogamaya. You have to marry any other Gopa, and then basically when Krishna plays his flute, you have to run away from them in the middle of the night to Krishna. Well, I can run to Krishna, but how can I marry anyone else? I'm the eternal consort of Nārayaṇa. So due to the inability to do that, to engage in what is known as Parakya Bhav, for the pleasure of Krishna, to this day she is still doing austerities in Belvan. So, even for those who are in Tapalok, they may meditate on the Lord and try to capture him within their heart, but really that is the goal of the yogis. Paramatma realization within the heart, endeavoring to capture him and hold him within the core of their heart. But that is still in a mood of awe and reverence. And for someone who is meant to be wrestling Krishna and defeating him, maybe throwing him on the dust and jumping on top of him, or feeding him a chili pakora, Or putting a dandelion in his mouth, a flower, you know, the dandelion flower, in his mouth with his eyes closed. Hey, my mother sent a very special, open your mouth. Like this. Sometimes teasing each other, sometimes jumping over each other's backs, playing and dancing and doing all kinds of very intimate, friendly activities. The idea of only meditating on him. Even in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Supreme Lord is saying that I am not at all attracted by all of those flowery prayers. It doesn't really move my heart. But what completely controls me is the love of my Brajbasis. His own near and dear associates who don't have any of this Aishwarya Bhav manifesting on the outside. They don't think that just seeing within my heart is enough. It's not enough for them. Why would they backtrack from direct darshan and direct loving pastimes with Krishna? Why would they backtrack to, okay, I'll be satisfied only seeing you in my heart? It's not enough for them. But they're also not material or mundane. They want to see, but they will be seeing through their transcendental form, with their transcendental vision, Krishna's transcendental beauty, his pastimes. So still for Lord Brahma, many truths were not revealed to him. We see this again and again mentioned in our scriptures regarding those who are from or of Tapolok. Also in the Radha Kripakatasha Stavaraja there, it is said, Ananta Koti Vishnu Loka Namra Padma Jarchite, Himadrija Pulo Maja Virinchaja Varaprade, Apar Siddhiri Dhidi Dasat Padangulinake, Kada Karishyasi Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam. Let me just read that translation quickly. I can't tell you by heart. Oh, the one before it too. No. O you who are worshipped by Lakshmi Devi, the mistress of unlimited Vaikuntha planets, and who bestows benedictions upon... Let me see, is that the right one? Okay, who bestows benedictions upon Sri Parvati, Indrani, and Saraswati. Even one of the nails of your lotus feet gives rise to an infinite variety of spiritual perfections. Oh, when will you make me the recipient of your merciful sidelong glance? All of the greatest and best personalities also in Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Sanaka Sanatana Bharinita Charite, they're praying for this mercy. Even the greatest personalities. But we have heard and learned that all of those personalities in Tapolok and those other situations, those other realms, who are full of Aishwarya Gyan for the Lord, because of that Aishwaryata, their devotion is made feeble, made weak, so they might be able to behold the Lord and have appreciation for the Lord, but to engage in transcendental loving pastimes with the Lord, at that stage they are unqualified. They're unqualified. Only someone who has that intense, greedy desire to serve the Lord, and really whose nature it is to serve Krishna, as the Brajavasis do in Vrindavan, they will be able to serve Krishna like that. And they will not be satisfied or comfortable by any of the other things. Oh, Bhagavan's offering me a benediction. Oh, sure, okay, I will accept it. If Bhagavan were to ever stand in front of you and ask you, what can I give you? I want to offer you any benediction. Not you, Sudevi. Srila Gurudev said there's only one prayer we should ask for. Does anyone know what that is? And whoever can answer this with the Sanskrit
gets 15 samosas.
Gets 15 samosas. With tamarind chutney.
Or tomato if they don't
Or
want
tomato chutney if you don't want the tamarind chutney.
We're going to have a big feast when we're all together.
Yep. Come on, I'm waiting for this. Yes, even Prahlad Maharaj is a pure devotee, but still a Jnani Bhakta. He doesn't feel that the Lord requires his service. He understands that the Lord is Atmaram Aptakam. No, we need the shlok. We need the verse. So he knows that the Lord is Atmaram Aptakam, completely self-satisfied, doesn't have any desire that is unfulfilled. He doesn't need anything from outside, so why should I offer him a glass of water or anything when everything comes from him? So this is Aishwarya Gyan, that he is the source of everything. What does he need from me? So I will just admire his awesomeness. Jnani Bhakta. What is the verse? What is the prayer that one should ask if Krishna were to ever stand in front of us and say, what would you like? What can I give you? If there's anything you want, what is the prayer that we should say? What should we ask for? We should definitely ask for something. Does anyone remember? Come on. I don't think that the only 10 samosas is enough. We got to give a tray of burfi as well. Yes, Rudra, but specifically, I'll give you a hint.
Sham.
The first part starts with Shyam.
Shama Sundar.
It starts with Shyama Sundar. But your answer is correct. So, that kind of devotion, it's there, but the Lord says it's made weak. It's weakened by the devotion which is covered or distracted by knowledge of His supreme majesty. The Brajavasis, they don't think Krishna is God. They don't think He is the supreme Lord of everything. Even when He does amazing things like, hint, we told it at Radha Kund, at Shyamakund actually, but they don't think that He's God. Even when He lifts Govardhan Hill and kills demons, they don't think He's God. They think, oh, maybe Nārāyaṇa is acting through Him. We think Gargacharya said something in his astrology that from time to time, Nārāyaṇa might act through Him. But they don't think that He is God. They think, oh, He's our beloved son, our beloved friend, our beloved paramour, our beloved. They only look at Him like this. He may be whatever He is, Srila Prabhupada said. All they know is that they love Him. So, I'm still waiting for the answer. Come on. Shama Sundar. Come on, we gave you Shama Sundar.
Janardhan knows it. Is he there?
I don't know. All right. 10 seconds to write it, and anyone can write it. Right now. Anyone. Even Jiva Pavana or Sudevi. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's a delay. Shyama Sundar Shikhanda Shekhara Snehahasa Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamang Kripanithe Svapriya Charana Kinkarin Kuru.
Jiva Pavana, did you see hint? You told it Radhakund.
Yeah, he already told that before.
Yeah.
So, Radhika Rasikamang Kripanithe Svapriya Charana Kinkarin Kuru. O Shyama Sundar Krishna, if you can grant me anything, if you can give me anything, and I only want this, please make me a kinkari, a maidservant at the feet of your dear, most beloved Srimati Radhika. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedānta ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So tomorrow we begin with verse 5. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gurudev Gurudev Jai Gurudev Jai Gurudev Gurudev Jai Gurudev Jai Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Rupan Guru Varg ki jai, Padipan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vinod Bihari Ji ki jai, Radha Ji ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Hari Ram Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Bolo Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai 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 Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Gaur Premanande
Hari Hari Bo.
So thank you all very much for giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga, and also for your questions. Really good food for thought. So thank you for that.
Nice discussion, Jiva Pavana Prabhu.
And also, we would like to express our great indebtedness to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to follow the order of our Srila Gurudev, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radha Vinod Bihari Ji
Ki jai.
Sachinandana Gaura Hari
Ki Jai.